So I said about some patterns. So after these patterns here, we started with working with the collection data types. Collection data types are data structures. So what we are doing in collection data types is, I said this collection data types are classified into two categories. One is called as a scalar data types and one more is a collections. And within this, I said collections are containers which are used to store more than one object. A group of similar type objects are stored inside a collection, and every collection follows some set of rules and regulations to organize data or objects. And this set of rules and regulations are called what is called as here data structures. And all collections are predefined data structures, right? This is what I said in the previous class. So, right. Now within this, first we'll be talking about, yes. So within this, first, so this is a question what they ask you, like what are collection types in Python, right? So these are built-in collection types, like list is a tuple, set, dictionary. So all these are called as which data types here, collection types. And why we use the collections in Python? Now collections feature data structure that helps manage vast volumes of data effectively. So the collections module in Python provides wide variety of containers, and containers can store a variety of items can be recreated. So the containers include tuple, list, dictionaries, and more. So why we are using collections is for grouping individual data and representing it as one object. So I said no, collections are used for grouping. Collections are used. Collections are used for grouping individual objects. For grouping individual objects and representing as one object. Collections are used for grouping individual objects. Collections are used for grouping individual objects and representing it as one object. You're grouping individual objects and you are representing it as a one object. So based on how you are organizing data, based on the way how you are organizing data, it is classified into how many categories? Three categories. One is called as a sequences, and second one is called as a sets, and third one is called as a mapping. So this classification is based on the way how you are organizing data. So sequences are there, sets are there, and one more is mapping is there. Okay. So what is the first one is? The first one is called as a sequences. So if you are talking about sequences, see here, these are called sequences like list, tuple, range, string, byte sign, byte array. Now sequence. Okay, sequence. Okay, sequences. Okay, sequence types. Organized data or objects in a sequential order in memory. Okay, sequential order in memory. So sequence types organize data or objects in sequential order in memory. How the data is organized in memory sequentially. So sequence types organize data or objects in which order? Sequential order in memory. So here you can say sequences are ordered collection. Okay, sequences are ordered collections. Ordered collections where the data is organized in which order here? Sequential order. So what is the meaning of organizing in sequential order? For example, if you take a list is there, how the data will be stored in list one after the other. One after the other order is same. The way how you are storing in the same way it is stored inside what? Memory. How the data will be organized in sequential order means one by how the data is organized in sequential order, and that sequential order is nothing but one by one. How the data is organized one by one. So that you can call it as which one here? Sequence. So organized in sequential order. So sequence types organize data or objects. Sequence types organize data or objects in sequential order in memory, and sequences are which collection? Ordered collections. Now these sequence data types. These sequence data types are classified into two categories. Two categories. One is mutable sequences, and one more is immutable sequences. One is mutable sequences, and one more is immutable sequences. And mutable sequences are two here. One is a list, and one more is byte. And immutable sequences are now these are called immutable sequences. So mutable sequences are how many types here? Two types. One is a list and one more is byte. And immutable sequences are like tuple, string, range, and one more is what? Bytes. So total how many sequence data types are there? 6 are there. And within that, 2 are mutables and 4 are what here? Immutables. So mutables after creation, mutables allow after creation what it allows? Changes. Mutable allows after creation what here? Changes. Mutable allows after creation what it allows? Changes, right? But immutable doesn't allow. Immutables doesn't allow. Doesn't allow after creation what here? Changes. So that is what is a mutable and immutable. Mutable allow after creation what? Changes. But immutables doesn't allow after creation what? Changes, right? So that is what you mean by mutable and immutable, right? That is what is the meaning of mutable and immutable. So sequences are which types here? Ordered collections. I said ordered collections. Ordered means don't think that ascending, descending. Order means one by one. Sequence means one by one. So don't think that ascending, descending. I'm not telling ascending, descending. Okay. It is one. Sequence itself is one order. Okay. Suppose if you take uh, a, a people stand in one sequence. Sequence means one by one. Okay. So that is sequence. Don't think that ascending order, descending order. I have not written here anything called ascending order or descending order, right? So mutable sequences are there. Okay, that is list and one more is a byte array. And immutable sequences are there like tuple, string, a range, and one more is what? Bytes. So mutables means which allows to change it, and immutable means which doesn't allow to what? Change it. Okay, now within this, the first data type is there is a first data type called which one here? List. Okay, list is a mutable. Okay, list is a mutable. List is a mutable. Okay, mutable sequence data type. Okay, list is a mutable sequence data type. What is a list here? Is a mutable sequence data type. So what is a list is? It is a mutable sequence data type. Now according to Python definition, okay, this is a definition given by Python. And what is the definition of Python is? Now if you see the list here, so this is a definition given by Python. So list or mutable, yeah, this is one definition given by Python here. List or mutable sequences typically used to store collection of, okay, typically used to store collection of which data? Homogeneous data. Homogeneous means similar type. Okay, homogeneous means similar type. It can also use, it can also hold a heterogeneous. Okay, it can also hold which data? Heterogeneous data also. Okay, it can also hold which data? Heterogeneous data. Homogeneous. It can also hold which data? Heterogeneous data also. Heterogeneous means what here? Different types. Homogeneous means what here? Similar type. Heterogeneous means different type. And homogeneous means similar type. And list can hold. List can hold. List can hold. Okay. Mutable sequences and typically used to store collection of which data? Homogeneous items. Homogeneous means similar type, and it can also hold heterogeneous data, and heterogeneous means what here? Different type. And list can hold duplicate items. Duplicate items are values. List can hold duplicate items are what? Values. List can hold. So what list can hold here? Duplicate data or items. Within the list, you can store duplicate values, right? Okay, list is a mutable sequence data type, and list are mutable sequences typically used to store collection of homogeneous items, Homogeneous is nothing but similar type, and it can also hold heterogeneous data. Heterogeneous means what here? Different types. And list can hold duplicate items or what? Values, right? And all sequences are index based. All sequences are index based where reading and writing is done using what here? Index. All sequences are index based where reading and writing is done using index. Okay. Yeah, you have to understand this. What is a list? Okay, list is a mutable sequence data type, and list are mutable sequences and typically used to store collection of homogeneous data, and it can also hold heterogeneous data. Heterogeneous is nothing but different types, and list can hold duplicate items or values, and all sequences are index based where reading and writing is done using what here? Index. For example, you may take a list of, okay, you may take a list of, there might be list of which one? Integers. You may store a list of integers. Okay, there is a list of integers. There is a list of employees. Okay, there is a list of phone numbers. There is a list of phone numbers. There is a list of, okay, there is a list of mailbox. There is a list of contacts. Okay, now there is a list of scores. There is a list of what here? Scores. There is a list of grades. Okay, there is a list in which you are storing the grades of all the students. There is a list where you are storing the data of which one? Scores. There is a list where you are storing the salaries of employees. There is a list where you are storing the sales. There is a list where you are storing the employee details, right? So list where you are storing more than one object or where you are trying to store more than one value. By storing more than one data, what you can do, you can perform aggregate operations by grouping all the data. By grouping all the data, you can perform some aggregate operations. Aggregate operation means, for example, by storing data, suppose there is a sales list is there. What is this list here? Sales list. By storing the data within the list, what I can do, I can perform aggregate operations. Aggregate means I can perform all statistical operations. Statistical means I can find out what I can find out mean, what I can find out median, what I can find out maximum, what I can find out minimum, what I can find out mode, what I can find out standard deviation, what I can find out variance. I can find out all these things by storing the data within one container. And what is that container you have here? Collection. And that collection is what either list or it can be tuple, it can be any other thing, right? So you can perform aggregate operations, right? Then how to create a list? Then how to create a list? Now you can create a list in different ways, and list may be constructed in several ways. Now these are the different ways in which you can construct the list. So list may be constructed in several ways. Now these are the different ways in which you can create the list. One is using pair of square brackets, denoting the empty list, using the pair of square brackets denote the empty list, and using square brackets separating items with what? Commas, and using a list comprehension. and using the type construct. So there are different ways in which you can create a list. Now using pair of square brackets to denote the empty list, and using square brackets separating the items with what here, comma, and using list comprehension, and using the type constructor or function called which one, list. And all collections are called all collections are called which one, iterables. All collections are called which one here, iterables. Iterable means which allows to read. Iterable means which allows to read individual object or individual value, which allows to read individual objects or individual values. So that you can call it as what here, iterables. Well, which allows to read individual objects, which allows to read individual objects. Which allows to read individual objects or individual values. All collections are called iterables. Iterables allows to read individual individual objects, individual objects. Iterable allows to read individual objects or which implements which protocol, iteration protocol. Iteration means reading, looping or reading one by one. Iteration protocol is called as which one, iterable. So all collections are called iterables, and iterables allows to read individual objects or which implements iteration protocol, that you can call it as iterable. So list may be constructed in several ways. Using pair of square brackets denote the empty list, and using square brackets separating items with what, commas, and using a list comprehension, and third one is using the type constructor. So all these are the different ways in which you can construct which one here, list. Yeah, for example, now this is creating what here, empty list. How you are creating a list by using square brackets. Okay, now if I'm writing print list one, now your list one is empty. And if I'm saying type of list one, so list one is of which data type, list data type. Now this is creating what here, empty list. Creating empty list. You are creating empty list by using empty square brackets. You are creating empty list by using empty square brackets, right? Then you can create a list. This is creating list by separating items using what here, comma. Creating list by separating items using comma, right? What I'm doing, I'm trying to write like this. There is a list 2 equal to 10 comma 20 comma 30 comma 40 comma 50. Now this is a list contain how many values here? 5 values. I can create a list by storing same type values. I can create a list by storing same values, similar type values. or I can create a list by storing different types of values. Now this list contain which type of values? Float values. And this list contain which type of values? Integer values. There is a list for equal to I try to store courses. So Python. So I just started Java and C++, and then I'm writing here .NET. Now this is a list which contain which type of values? String values. This is a list of strings, and this is a list of floats, and this is a list of integers. But even I can create a list where I can store different types of values. I can create a list where I can store different types of values, right? So I'm trying to store different types of values. Now you can see this is a list to contain first value is integer and second value is string, third value is string, and fourth value is float, and fifth value is what? Boolean. Now is it this list is having similar type or different type? Different type. So this is a list which contain different types of values, right? So the list may be homogeneous, or list can be what here? Heterogeneous. Homogeneous means similar type. Heterogeneous means different types. Now within list you can store duplicate values. Okay, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. I can store these duplicate values inside the list. Now if I say print the list is 6, now this list is having number of values. Now this is one more way of creating the list by storing more than one object. By storing more than one object. Okay, by storing what here more than one object. Okay, by storing more than one object. So this is how you create a list. Okay, now you can store any type of value. It can be integer or float, or it can be any type of value. Any type of value, but it doesn't negative, positive, or integer means all no. Integer means positive or negative. Okay, plus or minus, any value you can store it. Any value you can store it. List 7 equal to -1, -2, 10, 20, plus 30, plus 40. Okay, -90. Okay, -1.5. Okay, anything you can store it. Plus 3.5. Anything you can store inside the list. It can be positive values or it can be negative values. It can be plus or minus values. Any values you can store it. Okay, right. Now this is a creating a list by separating items using comma, and then creating a list using list function. Now this is creating list using list function here. List function. Now this is two functions are there, two syntaxes are there. Now this is a syntax one. This is creating empty list. Creating empty list. And this is a syntax 2, and there is a list it followed by iterable. Now creating list using existing iterables or collections. Now this function is used. This function is used to convert other collections into list type. If you want to convert other collections into list type, you are using which function? List function. If you want to convert other collections into which type? List type. If you want to convert other collections into list type, you convert other collections into a list type by using other collections into list type by using other collections into a list type by using list function. Okay. Now suppose you want to convert tuple to list, you want to convert set to list, you want to convert dictionary to list, you want to convert string to what? List. Then this conversion you can do it by using which function? List function. Okay. Now how you create a list by using list function here? Okay. Now this is one more ways for creating a list. You can write like this. Okay. Suppose list 8 equal to list. Now this is called as which list here? Empty list. Is it this list is having anything? No. List 9 equal to list of. Now which collection you want to convert into a list? I want to convert range. I want to convert range into what here? List. I'm writing 1 comma 6 comma 1. So what is 1 here? Start value. What is 6 here? Stop value. What is 1 here? Step value. Now this range will generate how many values? 5 values. Now those 5 values get stored inside what? List 9. Now list 9 is created with a sequence of how many values? 5 values. Some list 10 equal to list of range of. I can write -1 comma -6 comma -1. Okay. Now this will create a list with all the values from -1 to -5. Okay. So there is a list equal to list of range 10 comma 110 comma 10. Okay. Now this is a list created with how many values? 10 values. Okay. Now if you want to convert or if you want to create a list from other iterables, list 12 equal to list of list 11. Now you are creating a list 12 by using the elements of what here? List 11. So list 12, can you say copy of the list 11? Yes. List 12 is a copy of which one? List 11. Because you try to copy the elements of list 11 into what here? List 12, right? Now this is having how many values? 10 values, right? So these are converting existing iterables. If you want to convert existing iterables into which type? A list type. Now you are using which function? List function, right? Yeah, these are different ways in which you can create a list. But one more way is there, which is called as list comprehension. And this also we'll discuss. But first, try to understand how to create a list. You are creating empty list by using which one? Empty square brackets. And if you want to create a list by separating items using what? Comma. That is creating a list with more than one value. Okay, now creating list using which function? List function. And this you are using, okay, two syntaxes are there. The first syntax is for creating which list? Empty list. And second syntax is creating a list using existing iterables or what? Collection. And this function is used to convert other collections into which type? List type. Okay, now this is how you are creating a list. Okay, just to see here. So memory representation of list. So this is a memory representation of a list because list is a mutable and sequence data type. List is a mutable and sequence data type. But how this list is created in memory? How this list is created in what? Memory. How this list is created in memory, right? So how this list is created in memory? For example, yeah, see here, I said how the data is organized is sequential order. Now what I'm doing is I'm writing like this. There is a list one with 10 comma 20 comma 30 comma 40 comma 50. So this is a list to contain how many objects are there? 5 objects are there. Okay. So what will happen? It organize this data in which order? Sequential order. So there is a memory allocated for how many objects here? 5 objects. Now there is a memory allocated for how many objects here? 5 objects. Now these are 5 objects are there, right? So in the first location, it will store 10. Then this is stored what here? 20. So there is a 10 and a 20 and 30, 40. How it is stored in the same order or different order? Same order. The way how you are creating in the order, in the same way it is stored inside what? List. What is the first value in the list? 10. What is the second value in the list? 20. What is the third value in the list? 30. Is it order of storing is the same or different? Same. That's the reason you call it as which collection? Ordered collection. So list one. What is the name of this list? List one. Now every element in the list is identified with index. Every element in the list is identified with what? Index. And that index starts at 0 when you are reading from left to right. That index starts at 0 when you are reading from left to right. So that is nothing but forward direction. When you are reading from left to right, the index starts at what here? 0. And if you are reading from right to left, the index starts at, if you are reading from right to left, the index starts at what here? -1. So that is when you are reading in backward direction. This is when you are reading in which direction? Backward direction. Forward direction, and one more is a backward direction. If you are reading from backward direction, or it is called as right to left, right to left, right to left, then index starts at what here? -1. If you are reading from left to right, the index starts from where here? 0. So this is called as forward direction. Forward direction. This is forward direction. And this you can call it as which one? Backward direction. So you can read in both the directions, forward as well as backward. Now here this index is used as a subscript. Okay, this index is used as a subscript for reading element. This index is used as a subscript for reading element or what? Data. This index is used as a subscript for reading element or what? Data, right? So how to read content from the list? How to read the content from the list? How to read content from the list? How to read content from list? So we can read content from list in different ways. Okay, we can read the content from list in different ways. First one is using index, and second one is using for loop, and third one is using iterator, and fourth one is using enumerate. So how many ways can you read the content from the list? Four ways are there. One is using index, and second one is using for loop, and third one is using iterator, and fourth one is using enumerate. Okay, using index and using for loop, using iterator and using enumerate. Now these are the different ways in which you can read the content of the list. Using index, using for loop, using iterator and using enumerate. These are the different ways in which you can read the content. Okay. Yes. First one is using index. So what is an index? Index is an integer value. Index is an integer value used to identify each location or item within list. Index is an integer value used to identify each location or item within list. You can say index is an access label. Index is an access label, okay, which is used to read and write data within list. And this index can be positive, or this index can be what here? Negative. Now positive index starts at what? 0, to read data in which direction? Forward direction. And negative index starts at -1 to read data in which direction? Backward direction. Okay, positive index starts at 0 to read data in forward direction, and negative index starts at -1 to read data in which direction? Backward direction. This index is used as a subscript. This index is used as which one? Subscript to read and write the data. It is used as a subscript to read and write the data. So what is the syntax here? Array name. Okay, you'll use array name, list name. So list can be treated as array also, right? Now list name and it followed by which one? Index. List name and it followed by the index. For example, here, if I want to read data, I just write here list 1 of 0. So 0 means what is the value at 0? 10. So it will read the value 10. List 1 of 1. What is the value at 1? 20. If I say list 1 of 2, what is the value at 2? 30. And if I'm saying list 1 of 3, what is the value at 3? 40. If I'm saying list 1 of 4, what is the value at 4? 50. If I say list 1 of 5, then it gives what? Error. What error it is? Index error. Because is it index 5 is valid or invalid? Invalid. Index 5 is a valid or invalid? Invalid. So immediately it rises which error? Index error. Because the index 5 is not valid or it is out of the range, right? If I give this, it generate which error? Index error. Yes. If the index is valid, then you can read it. If the index is invalid, you cannot able to read. Now this reading can be, I said, it can be positive or it can be what here? Negative. If I'm writing list 1 of -1, So this read the data in which direction? Backward direction. So list one of -2. Now this is nothing but 40. And list one of -3. And this is nothing but 30. Okay. And list one of -4. And this is nothing but 20. And list one of -5. And this is nothing but what here? 10. And if I'm writing list one of -6, now this generate which one? Error. Which error it is? Index error. Because is it this index is valid or invalid? Invalid. This index is not valid. This index is what here? Invalid, right? So you are trying to read in both the directions, that is in forward direction as well as backward direction. For example, I have a names list. So there is a list which contain names, student names. Okay, some student names are there. Okay, now this is a names list. Okay, assume that this is a names list. So this is a list which contains some names. Now I want to read the names, then I'll say names list of, what is that here? 0. Then I can say names list of, what I can say right here? 1. If I'm writing names list of, okay, names list of, what is that here? 2. And I'm writing names list of, okay, name list of which one? 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and there is one more which is called as names list of 4. So you are trying to read all the names. How you are reading it? By using which one? Index, right? So but this index can be positive or it can be negative. I can write a names list of -1, and I can write names list of -2, and names list of, okay, names list of -3, comma, names list of, okay, that is -4, and then names list of -5. So this read the data in which direction? Backward direction. So this is read in which direction here? Backward direction. Now index allows to read in both the order. Okay, index, using index, you can read the data in sequential as well as random. Yeah, using index, you can read the data in both the orders, that is in sequential order as well as random order. So index allows to read data in sequential and which order here? Random order. Using index, for example, now have a 100 names out there. Suppose and list how many names are there? 100 names are there. Can I read directly some 50th name or not? Yes. By using which one? Index. Index allows to read data in both the order, that is in sequential order as well as random. It allows to read in both the orders, sequential as well as random. For example, if the list is having, for example, there is a list with some 10 values order. I want to read all these 10 values by using index. I want to read all these values using index in forward direction as well as backward direction. Then what do you do it? Then what do you do it? Suppose I have to write list one of, where is a column here? Where is a column? Where is a column here? Did I said anything column or a what here? Okay, yes. Now there is a 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Your data science, data science. Okay, that is frame, data frame, series. Okay, that is different here. Okay, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and one more is what? 100, right? To read 10 values, I have to say every time list one of. I have to say every time list one of what? 0. I have to say list one of 1. How many times I have to write this? 10 times. To avoid this, what you can do is you can use for loop. You can use a for loop for generating what here? Indexes. For I in range of 0, comma, what is that? 10. If I'm writing for I in range of 0, comma 10, this will generate how many values? 10 values. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and one more value is what? 10. Now each value generated by range is used as what here? Index, right? Now what will I do? I'll write a list one of. What will I do? I'll say list one of. Which one here? I. So what is the value of I here? 0. List one of 0. So what is the value at 0? 10. And list one of 1. What is the value at 1? 20. List one of 2. What is the value at 2? 30. List one of 3. What is the value at 3? 40. List one of, now every time you are reading, but just read the values in which direction? Forward direction or backward direction? Forward direction. It will read the list content in which direction? Forward direction, right? Now, once you run this, now you can see all the values are read in which direction? Forward. I want to print these values in the same line. I just use at the end, I don't insert new line. You can see how many values are read, 10 values. But I want to read these values in backward direction. So how can I read in backward direction for in range of -1, comma, -11, comma, -1. Now this range will generate values from this range generate values from -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9, and one more is a -10. So generate all the values from -1 to what? -10. And after that, I'm trying to say print a list one of which one? I. So this will read the values in which direction? Backward direction. That is 100 to what here? 10, right? But using index, you can able to read how many values? Only one value. Using index, you can able to read how many values? Only one value, right? For example, there is a list. Okay, for example, there is a list. So there is a list contain, for example, there is a list one having some values are there, but these values are random values are there. Some random values are there within the list. So like this, there are some random values within the list. Okay. So now I want to write a program to count. Write a program to count. Okay. Even numbers and odd numbers. count even numbers and odd numbers exist within what list? I want to count how many even numbers are there. I want to count how many even numbers are there and how many odd numbers are there in the list. I want to count how many even numbers are there and how many odd numbers are there in the list. I want to know how many even numbers are there and how many odd numbers are there in the list. So what do you have to do? Yeah, tell me, what do you have to do? Every time you have to read one value and then you have to check is it that value is even number or odd number, right? So I try to declare two variables. One is a even number count and one more is what? Odd number count equal to 0, comma 0. So first 0 is assigned to which variable? Even number count. And second 0 is assigned to which variable? Odd number count, right? So how many values are there in the list? How can I find out? By using length. So there is one function is there, and what is the name of the function? Length. So this will return how many values are there in the list. So this will return how many values are there in the list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So length will return how many values are there in the list? 17 values are there. Then I have to generate how many indexes here? 17 indexes. So for in range of 0, comma 0, comma what is it? Length plus 1. So this will generate how many indexes here? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to what? 17. This will generate how many indexes? Up to 17, right? This will generate how many here? 17. Okay, 17 it will do it. Okay, yes. Now after that, you are trying to read each time one value. If list 1 of I mod 2 double equal to which one? 0. Then it is which number? Even number. Even number count plus equal to 1. Okay, if it is not, it is which number? Odd number. Odd number count. So even number count and odd number count plus equal to 1. So here I try to display. So this is a list and this list is nothing but list 1. Then I try to print what is this here? Even count. How many even numbers are there? I just displayed even number count. So print format, I try to display odd number count. And this is nothing but which count here? Odd number count. So once you run this, L plus 1. Or 0 to L only. Okay, not L plus 1. 0 to L. So 1, 2, yes, total how many values are there? 17. And within that, how many even numbers are there? 6. And how many odd numbers are there? 11 odd. Even numbers are 6. Now see here, what is the value of I? 0. And list 1 of 0. What is the value at 0? 1. So 1 mod 2 equal to 0? No, it will come to else. Odd number count. The next index is 1. List 1 of 1 is what? 5. 5 mod 2 equal to 0? No. Okay. Next element is, what is this? 2. And list 1 of 2. What is the list 1 of 2? 8. 8 mod 2 equal to 0? Yes. It is which number? Even number. Right? So this is a list which contain both the numbers. So that is even numbers as well as what? Odd numbers. Now using index, I said now using index, right? You can able to read only one value. So write a program to print sum of all the values or all elements of list. For example, there is a list. Now this is a list contain number of values. So there are number of values in the list. Now I want to add all these values. Okay, I want to add all these values. Okay, I want to add all these values. I want to add. Then what is the value of sum initially I've taken is 0. Then after that, I should find the length of the list by saying length of what is this here? List 1. Then I should generate the indexes, and I'm generating indexes using a range. So range is 0 comma L. Range is 0 comma what is that? L 0 comma L. So L is nothing but list here, list length. So after that, you are saying S equal to S plus, S equal to S plus list one of which one? I. For example, number of elements are how many here? 13 elements are there. Then it will generate 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It will generate up to what? 12. Because the index starts at what here? 0. So what is the value of I here? 0. And 0. So list 1 of 0. What is the list 1 of 0? 10. And 0 plus 10 becomes what? 10. And next I value is a 1. And 10 plus list 1 of 1 is 20. And 10 plus 20 is what here? 30. Next index is a 2. And 20 plus list 1 of 2 is nothing but 30. And 20 plus 30 is what? 50. So like that, you are adding all the elements in the list. Format, list elements are, so list elements are, I just displayed the list 1 and print a format, sum of elements. Sum of elements, I print as here. Okay. So once you run this, I can see these are the list elements. How many elements are there here? 13 elements are there, right? Then what is the sum of these elements? 19, right? So this is reading elements from the list using index. So using index, you can able to read only one element. But if you want to read more than one element from the list, if you want to read more than one element from the list, you are using one more approach. If you want to read more than one element from the list. Now here, one thing is missed here, that is using slicing. Okay, now 5 are there. One is using index, and second one is using slicing, and third one is using for loop. Third one is using for loop. Okay, index. Okay, first one is using index, and second one is using slicing, and third one is using for loop, and fourth one is using iterator, and fifth one is using enumerate, right? But using index, you are able to read how many values? Only one value, but not more than one value. If you want to read more than one value from the list. If you want to read more than one value from the list, then you go for which one? Slicing. So slicing means now reading or getting a part of the list. Means reading one, more than one value can be done with the help of what here? Slicing. Okay. Yes, here. If you see here, some of the questions here on the list here. Now, what do you mean by list in Python? List is which data type? Ordered or unordered? Ordered. So is it a sequence or non-sequence? Sequence data type. So what is the answer here? A list is a data structure which is mutable and ordered sequence of elements. The elements in the list can be any type or fixed type, any type. Okay, it can be of any type. Elements in the list are enclosed in dash brackets, square brackets. It is given in what? Square brackets. Values in the list are called items or elements. These are called as items or what is that? Elements. Okay, values in the list are called items or elements. And list or dash in nature heterogeneous or homogeneous. By default, it can be homogeneous, but it can hold which one? Heterogeneous, right? Now, list is a dash data type, linear or non-linear, linear data type. So, list in the list, elements in the list are separated by comma. Elements in the list are separated by which one? Comma, right? Elements in the list are separated by comma. Now write the code to create an empty list. How you create an empty list? By using empty square brackets. How you create an empty list? By using empty square bracket. So L equal to empty square brackets. Write a code to create a list of any three colors named word color. Then we'll say color equal to how many colors? Three colors. That is blue, black, and one more is what? Red. Yes. But we didn't say what do you mean by nested list? Now write the code to create the list of 5 vegetable, 5 ovals, first 10 natural numbers, squares of first 5 natural numbers, any 5 names of your friends, all of the alphabets of Taj Mahal, first 5, multiples of which one? 6. Now we'll discuss about this, like how to manipulate content of the list in detail, but not today, but tomorrow we'll see that, right? So how to work with the list in detail, like some more operations belongs to the list, but tomorrow we'll see it. Now today we'll stop it here and tomorrow we'll continue this, right? Thank you. Right. Yeah, type it. What you want to ask, type it. Ready, Shaker? Type it. What do you want to ask, type it. What mobile? What mobile? What you got on? What mobile? What mobile? Yes, sir. Actually, I got my mobile. Send me. What is this? What do you want?